Are you Virgin Voyages curious? We took the ultimate plunge and sailed on all three of their incredible ships.
These are the kind of sacrifices we make for you on this YouTube channel.
Now we're here to help you pick the perfect ship, itinerary, and show you how to get the most value from your Virgin voyage. These ships are unlike anything you've experienced before, and there's a lot you'll want to know.
We're going to dive right in and tell you our pros and cons of all three ships, three very different itineraries, and we want to give you a sneak preview of the brand new Virgin Voyages ship that is about to sail next year. These are the three ships in the current Virgin Voyages fleet. We have sailed on all of these: the Scarlet Lady, the Valiant Lady, and the Resilient Lady. Now, all the ships are very similar. The Scarlet Lady launched 2021. Next to follow was the Valiant Lady, then the Resilient Lady. Finally, the big news is they've announced the full details of the Brilliant Lady, which is going to be sailing starting later in 2025. And later on, I'm going to tell you what we're doing on that ship, because we are definitely going to book onto the Brilliant Lady. What's interesting is we actually were booked on the Brilliant Lady for our cruise that ended up in the Caribbean on the Valiant Lady because Virgin delayed their plans to roll that out. And some of it comes down to, well, the great news is we will see that ship. We're really excited to see it. The key that I want to tell you is all of these ships are very similar. You're not going to go wrong when you choose a Virgin Voyages, worrying about, should I choose the Resilient Lady or the Scarlet Lady? One's newer, one's older. You're going to find that across the board, the only real differences come down to some artwork selections, some small design selections. Right now, you've got the same restaurants. The rooms are basically the same. I did notice a few differences in the Scarlet Lady versus the Resilient Lady. They made some changes based upon feedback. I felt the storage was a little bit better on the Resilient Lady, and even to some degree the Valiant Lady. They really couldn't make many actual structural changes to the ships. Always when I'm choosing a booking on Virgin, pick the itinerary that speaks to you and the best deal that you can find, and really don't worry about the ship. We have a cruise coming up in 2025, and we're on the Scarlet Lady.
Our first Virgin Voyages cruise was a 5-night Caribbean cruise out of Miami, and it was a great way to try out the ship, the Scarlet Lady, and see what it was all about. Their idea was to completely disrupt the cruise industry, and they have a whole lot of different changes over your standard cruise experience. We did a couple of stops, Key West and Bimini.
Remember, on a 5-night, 4-night, people are going to really try to pack in the activities. People are just trying to cram everything in. And that's always going to be a recommendation. You need to understand, if you ever book something that's going to be 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, it's going to be fast and furious the whole time. If you don't like that, then I would stay away from the shorter cruises. And like Monica said, it's definitely going to be a younger demographic overall. We also did the Virgin Voyages Private Beach Club on Bimini. That was a fun experience. It was hot that day. We went way too late. My recommendation is, if you do one with the Private Beach Club, it's really nice. You need to get out there early. Don't do what we did, which was have a leisurely breakfast and then head out there, because all the chairs in the shade were gone. If we were in the suites, no problem, but we weren't in this case. We had a balcony cabin on this one. We'll talk about the suites in a moment. We were really stuck in the blazing sun. We didn't stay out there all that long. Big advice is go early, get yourself some good real estate, and you'll have a way better day at the Private Beach Club.
For a line that's cool and edgy like Virgin, having a young demographic actually really pumped up the energy. So it was a really great experience.
But also understand, this is an exception. If you're starting to think, oh, wait a minute, this cruise line's not going to be for me. Our second cruise we did on the Resilient Lady. This was an amazing cruise, probably one of my all-time favorites. We're closing in on 50 cruises. This was an incredible repositioning cruise. We started in Singapore and we ended up in Australia. We had 15 nights, so we had a lot of time. We some amazing stops in Bali. We also hit multiple stops in Australia, the Great Barrier Reef. The dining and entertainment we're going to cover in a moment. Pretty incredible on all three ships. About my favorite on any ship we've ever been on as far as consistency and the creative restaurants. We'll talk about this in a moment. All the restaurants are included. So as on a lot of cruise ships, you got to pay a lot of money for specialty restaurants. Also, all of the specialty restaurants are all included. This was an amazing voyage. It was the first time they ever sailed into Sydney. We got a hero's welcome. We got greeted by Richard Branson, the founder of all the Virgin products from Virgin Airlines on down, and then Virgin Voyages as well. He met us in his speedboat. The unfortunate thing is Virgin is not doing any more cruises out of Australia, but fingers crossed one day they will come back. This was a nice combination because repositioning cruises are incredible. We had plenty of sea days. We got an amazing deal on this. Price per person per night was really low, and we did a balcony cabin on this one as well.
And for their maiden voyage into Australia, they had about 1,200 Aussies on board. They had done 3 back-to-backs to go into Sydney, so it was a lot of fun.
One nice thing they did, and they may do this on other longer cruises, they really varied the menus. We were also going during Thanksgiving. So a number of restaurants did their own take on Thanksgiving. There were some great meals multiple nights. They also made sure that they changed up the menus because obviously, if you're going for 7 days, you'll barely be able to hit all of the dining spots. But if you're going for 14 days, if you happen to be on a repositioning, Virgin does a good job making sure your repeat and your return visits to the same venue is going to be a little bit different and creative.
Our 3rd Virgin cruise was a week-long cruise on the Valiant Lady in the Lesser Antilles. So another Caribbean cruise. We hit places, we went out of San Juan and came back into San Juan, Puerto Rico. We hit places like Aruba, Curacao, Martinique, and St. Kitts and Nevis. It was a little more exotic than the previous Caribbean cruise. It was a great experience.
One of the biggest things is we finally did it, folks. We finally won the rock star status. We booked way in advance. That's my advice to all of you. Book as far in advance as possible. On this one, the deal was just so good. We went right for the Seriously Suite. That's the lowest price of the suites, but you get all of the perks of rock star status, which includes the private pool deck, all kinds of other VIP treatment that we'll talk about in a few minutes here, but it was well worth it. It's going to be hard, to be honest, to go back to just a regular old balcony cabin, but we are. We are booked into a balcony next year, and I'm hoping we'll make a bid on an upgrade. If you're considering a suite, I think it's well worth it. Now, is it worth 3 times as much? No. Double, that's starting to get into that kind of gray area where you're going to have to decide what's really worth it for you. Age wise on this one, out of the Caribbean, you might think that this was just like the Scarlet Lady out of Miami, and it really wasn't. We were probably right in the middle on age. We're in our 50s, by the way. On Virgin Voyages, it's adult only. There are no kids. You never have to worry about kids on Virgin Voyages. So it's just a matter of what ages are the adults. If you go on a longer cruise, like a repositioning, you're almost always, if you're in your 50s, you're going to be younger. You'll have to decide if you want to do one of the short ones out of Miami. That may be different. Go a week or longer, and I think any age range is going to be quite happy on any of these cruises. Now, there are some really unique features we just talked about. There's cruise lines that are amazing for families and multi-generational. This is not it. There are some real huge benefits sailing on Virgin. The pricing, when you look at it, will be a bit more expensive than Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Lines, Princess Cruises. But you need to remember what is included. All of your tips are included. That could be $30, $40, $50 per day extra. That adds up. Another thing that's included, you get free Wi-Fi. Have you ever looked at Wi-Fi charges on other cruise lines? $300, $400, $500. Now, there is an upgrade to get higher speed, but at least it's complimentary for all passengers. And if you have higher loyalty status, sometimes that comes for free. We have a way of actually doing some status matching where maybe you immediately can take your first Virgin Voyages cruise and actually get the premium high-speed Wi-Fi. What I also love is everything's done by the wristband. You don't need a key card. How often have you forgotten the key card in your room? You just wear this band around your wrist, and that does everything for you, including you can charge your drinks on that, get into your cabin.
And you can take it off when you shower, even though you don't have to. So there's 3 main types of staterooms other than the suites on Virgin Voyages cruises. You have the sea terrace, which is your balcony cabin.
And you're missing something. What else is on the balcony?
Oh, a hammock. It's an amazing hammock. The next one is the sea view, which has the ocean view, but it has a porthole window rather than a balcony. And then the third is the insider cabin, the best for budget conscious travelers.
Some great value on those,
Great
honestly.
value.
Yeah, if you're willing to not have the balcony, then you can save a ton of money, sometimes half as much on one of these. They also do have some solo cabins, by the way, because we were going to sail with my mom on one of the cruises. It didn't work out, but we had put her into a solo cabin. So just know that they do have some of those available. And then, of course, you've got Rockstar Suites. It's well worth it. You get access to Richard's Rooftop. Every day you get a happy hour, so you get free drinks. I think it's for a couple hours maybe. And they've got a menu there of multiple different options available. It used to only be, I think, like champagne, but now they actually have a set of cocktails, some wines, and some beer. So you got some really nice choices because on Virgin, they don't do drink packages, which I actually love because one, drink packages are a ton of money. You just pay as you go, and the drinks are priced reasonably. In Rockstar, you get free drinks for that time. Plus, you get the Richard's Rooftop, which is cabanas, sunbeds, where you'll always get a chair, you'll always get shade. It's really cool. There's actually an alcohol setup in your room. Depending upon the suite, it may be refilled throughout, or maybe it'll just be a one-time setup. The rooms are really different. They're much larger. On the Rockstar Suites, it's a completely different experience. They're huge. The showers are huge. The bathrooms are huge. Everything about it is definitely several steps up And then you get a lot of VIP service. You have your own concierge. They're always checking in on you. They'll take care of anything for you. You jump to the front of the line at shows. You jump to the front of the line at restaurant reservations, getting on, getting off, you name it. You get free laundry. There's a lot of great perks that come with Rockstar.
Grab our free guide and discover how to save thousands on your next adventure. Just hit that QR code and it'll take you right to the sign up. Also, if you like this video, and then we'd love a subscribe on our channel. Did you know that 90% of the people watching our channel are not subscribers? Please help us out.
If that's one of you and you're watching this, you're not a subscriber, just tap that little subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. We really appreciate that. If you don't want to use the QR code, you can go to digitalromance.com/free. Let's talk about the Virgin Voyages bar tab. Do you like to drink? I like some cocktails and good drinks on the cruise. The way that it works, you buy your bar tab in advance. You don't have to, but it's better to buy in advance. This is a tip you should remember because they'll typically give you some bonus bar tab if you do it before your cruise. Once you're on board, it's going to be really dollar for dollar. So a lot of times they would give us like $50 extra, $100 extra if we buy, for example, a $300 bar tab. Now, keep in mind, you don't get the money back at the end. So don't overbuy. In addition, a lot of times they're running sales. They may be including $300 of bar tab. On the Resilient Lady, we got $600 in bar tab, another couple $100 because of our loyalty status. We didn't need to buy anything. And I don't think we even went through the entire bar tab on that cruise. The same on Scarlet Lady. We got a bar tab. It was only a 5-night cruise. We just couldn't spend the entire thing. So just be sure you don't overdo it. And you may get some bar tab ahead of time. You just scan the band whenever you're at a bar, and that'll charge you for the drinks. All the restaurants have their own specialty cocktails. There are mocktails, quite a few choices there. Even in Test Kitchen, one of the restaurants now I've heard, they didn't have this in our sailing, that they now have low alcohol choices. So if you want to have an alcoholic drink, but you don't want to have as much, they've got those choices as well.
One of the great values with Virgin Voyages is their specialty restaurants. As we mentioned, they're all included. We have 6 different ones to choose from. You have The Wake, which is steak and seafood. It's more of an upscale restaurant. Razzle Dazzle is comfort food. It's great for brunch. Pink Agave is your upscale Mexican. You gotta have Mexican food. Gunbei is the Korean barbecue, and it's done in a very cool format of a Korean drinking game.
And a circular table where a group of you will sit. So be aware you probably will sit with people that you don't know unless you're traveling with a big enough group. It doesn't matter. It's totally fun.
It is always fun. Extra Virgin is the Italian restaurant, and then Test Kitchen is the more experimental tasting type restaurant.
They'll change the menu on Test Kitchen. Usually on a 7-day, I think you can get 2 different menus. On our longer sailing, I think we had 3 or 4 different ones. They even did a holiday one. All the restaurants are really good. Like Monica mentioned, you can do brunch as well at the Wake and Razzle Dazzle. Big recommendation, we'll talk about it again, is book in advance your restaurants. Now, I'll give you some advice. Sometimes people panic on Virgin Voyages because all of the slots get selected in advance, and you look at your app and you're like, everything's reserved. What am I going to do? Don't worry about it. You can always line up for a restaurant. When I say line up, we many times had a reservation. There might be 2 to 6 or 8 people waiting. So they do a great job. Just show up. If you show up at prime time, maybe a bit harder, but if you don't mind going a little earlier, a little later, I think you can walk into most restaurants. People constantly don't show up for whatever reason, or they change their plans. You can also book on board. They save times for people that get on and have just not planned ahead. But you do plan ahead, then you don't have to worry about it. You can relax. We changed our times multiple times on all 3 sailings, and you just go into the app. You'd be amazed. Same day, I could pick a different time. Not always, but it was pretty common. So don't worry too much about that. I recommend it on a week-long cruise. Do all of them. These are 6 restaurants. You've got 7 nights. Do them all. If you're on a shorter cruise, 4 or 5, you got to make some choices. What kind of food do you like? If you're worried that you're not going to like the Korean barbecue, then maybe that's one that you don't do. With the brunches, you have a chance to do them all, even on a short sailing. There's some additional dining options. I love the Galley. That's Virgin's take on a food hall. Rather than being a buffet, it's broken down by different types of cuisine. And you'll also have grab and go options as well. So you're going to have your classic burgers and diner type of food. You're going to have a place you can walk up to and get paninis and sandwiches. Another place has salads. Another one is going to be ramen. Another one, you can just grab sushi. So you've got all kinds of options, really something to satisfy everybody. And it's all freshly made. So typically what will happen is you'll order, they'll give you a pager, and then you can go ahead and pick it up when it's ready. Or there's a little flag on your table. You just hit the flag up. Somebody will come by from the crew, and they'll just take your order and bring it to you.
They have a diner where you can get breakfast all day long, which is really great. There's other casual eateries around the ship, like a pizza place, which is
really good.
An ice cream parlor, and then up on the pool deck.
Whoa, don't just say ice cream parlor. This place is amazing. It has a very funny name, so if you're easily offended, I won't say the name. And remember, on Virgin Voyages, it's adult only. There's a little tongue in cheek.
There's some double entendre.
Yeah, it's not super out there. Anybody's going to feel comfortable, I think, as long as they're a little open minded. But it's really amazing ice cream. It's incredible. And the pizza is made to order. It's not just slices that have been sitting there.
One of the places we really loved is up on the pool deck. It's a little hidden, but it's the Sun Club Cafe, and they've got poke. What else do they
Yeah,
have
they have some
there?
bowls, some
Different bowls and
healthier
things like
bowls.
that.
They're
Yeah.
really good. Seek that one out. Sun Club Cafe on one of the top pool decks.
And another one is called the Dock. It's off the back of the ship. What they have there in the evenings before dinner, you can sit there, maybe watch the sun go down and have some tapas and a drink, and it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's a great experience. They have another menu down there as well. There's a lot of food, a lot of different places that have stuff. So you'll never run out. There's really a ton of options, and the quality is always super high overall. You're going to be very happy.
Yeah, and they have specialty coffee, two different places that serve intelligentsia coffee, which is really great. And then Ship Eats food delivery if you just can't get out of bed. If you can't leave your room, then you can always have food delivered.
Onboard entertainment, I think one of the best we've ever seen. Again, is there some of the shows that are a little bit more adult driven? Yes. Are they going to offend you? I say no, unless you're super easily offended. But really, with the shows, they're just edgy.
They're inclusive, which is a great thing. You can be on the ship. You don't have to do every show, and you can still have a great time on the ship.
I think you're going to love the shows. The quality is incredible. Probably some of the best we've ever seen. Maybe outside of Royal Caribbean that does a great job. These are the most originals we've seen. There's a show you go into where the staging, it moves. You move as an audience as the shows change. I think we had that really on all three ships. They change it up a little bit. There's dinner shows. For instance, on Resilient, it was called Another Rose, but you had multi-course dinner while the show was going on all around you. Do the dinner show. They've got some amazing shows like Dual Reality. Lola's Library was in the manor where the rose took place. On our longer cruise, they changed it up. We had multiple different performances on different nights. Persephone was incredible on Resilient. I'd say Resilient had the best shows of all three. They're all really great. You're not going to go wrong. So if you do Scarlet or Valiant, you're going to have a great time. But for me, my favorite was Resilient. Yeah. Lots of live music on board. We have from rock to soul to country. They really lean into having live performers in multiple different venues, small little venues, little corners here and there. You're going to love that. And even some guest speakers. On our longer cruise, we had an interesting guest speaker.
He was a guy who was one of the founding members of Virgin Galactic. He had footage from some of their voyages into space, which was very cool. I like to keep fit. There's a lot of great options on each ship. Starting with a gym with state-of-the-art equipment, lots of cardio and weights. Then there's also lots of classes. Some of these will book up really quickly, so you'll want to book your favorites as soon as you get on the ship. They've got a cool little sports court where you can play some basketball, and they'll occasionally convert it over to pickleball. And then you got the running track around the circumference of the ship, too.
One of the better gyms that I think we've experienced on board, it's split into two sides. One side is the cardio side with really great equipment. And the other side is all going to be all the weights.
There's also a full-service salon, so you can get your hair cut or colored. And then something you won't find on any other cruise ship, it is the first tattoo parlor at sea. It's called Squid Ink, and they have well-known tattoo artists that rotate in periodically. You'll know in advance who they are if you follow them. If you think about getting a tattoo on board, the busiest day, of course, is the last full day because people don't want to get it wet in the pool or in the water. So a lot of people want to wait. The high priority slots are later in the sailing. So keep that in mind as well.
Short excursions, Virgin does a good job with short excursions. It's not hard pressure at all. Not on the ship, not before. Compared to some other cruise lines where I'll get literally a daily email to book my short excursions. Actually had some good ones. We haven't done a lot on the 3 different sailings that we've done, but the ones that we've done I actually have been pretty satisfied with. I thought the pricing was reasonable. If you book properly, sometimes you get onboard credit from your cruise. Book early. We did have one of the cruises we went on. We wanted to book, I think it was in Aruba, and it was booked up and we were not able to get it, but it wasn't a big deal. We went ahead and booked through a third party company like Viator and got a very similar experience. I do always want to make this advice because actually we have a situation like this coming up right now for us. We have a final payment coming up on a cruise, and we're going to do this. We just received a credit card that has a minimum spend requirement in order to get the bonus miles. One of my suggestions is go ahead and apply for a credit card that has a great sign-up offer. And then when it's time, you can do the final payment on this credit card. And pretty much in one swoop, you can then get all of your bonus miles or points. You can go to this QR code on the screen or the link that you see there at digitalromads.com/Tom top cards. These are our favorite cards, ones you may want to consider because you could get 50,000, 75,000, 100,000 bonus miles just for doing that. That could be good for a lot of things, a business class flight, several economy tickets. Sometimes if you're doing a hotel program, 3, 4, 5 nights at the hotel, make that final payment with that credit card and you'll pretty much qualify for the bonus. So there are some definite pros to Virgin Voyages. No upselling, no announcements throughout the cruise. A lot of times on a lot of cruises, it is just constantly trying to sell you something. The inclusive pricing, it's very easy to get a price quote and think, wow, that's so much more. But remind yourself again how much is included. When you leave the ship, I've noticed this on our final invoice, there's not that many charges on there at all. Compared to some of the cruise ships that we've gotten off of, when they slide that little invoice in your room at 3 in the morning, the night before you get off, and you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, did we buy all that? And you did. But remember, your restaurants, your gratuities, Wi-Fi, entertainment, fitness classes, the food hall, the gym, the shows. I mean, that's a lot that's included. So you can kind of rest easy. And then what's probably the most important thing, Monica?
Adults only.
That might be the most important thing. So adults only, 18 and up on this ship. So a lot of pros and really all ages. It's a completely new, unique experience. It will be different than other cruise lines. Don't compare it directly. There may be some things you enjoy on a Royal Caribbean sailing or a Princess or anything else that you may not have on Virgin, but that's okay because this is going to give you a really unique new experience. Now, there are some cons. Monica, do you want to take the negative side of things?
Oh, let's see.
And sorry for the picture of the toilet, but this is one of the cons.
Yeah, one of the cons is the standard stateroom bathrooms are notoriously tiny. If that's the biggest problem, then, who's going to spend that much time in the bathroom? We've discovered over a variety of cruises, the service, generally, they're very friendly. Everybody's great. Some cruises, maybe the shorter cruises, have less time to get to know you.
I think the difference was between on the shorter cruise, it's a little bit chaotic and fast paced.
The other thing, sometimes their outdoor furniture, it's very cool, hip looking, but it isn't as functional as you would like. The other knock on them is that the pool is kind of small. So the flip side of that is that there's a whole lot of lounger space, which is great. And when you have the big Scarlet Night party, it won't look so small with all those people jumping around it.
You'd be surprised how many people actually can fit in that pool.
Exactly.
They have a new loyalty program. They call it the Sailing Club right now. Definitely make sure that you do status matching. You have a link right there. I'll put the link down below in the video. They're willing to match right now. It looks to me like it's available for a few months from when we're recording this. We're talking all kinds of cruise lines, airlines, hotel programs. You could very much get at least the first tier before your first sailing. That gives you some nice extra perks. Now, take advantage of status match because I'm sure most people listening here, you've got status on some other cruise line, hotel program, airline program, and this doesn't open very often. So I say go to that link, get yourself matched, bump yourself up before your first cruise, and you're going to get some free stuff. All right, so there's some very big news. We're super excited about it. The fourth ship is has been officially announced for launch. We're really excited. Monica, you want to tell them a little bit about Brilliant Lady?
Yeah, so this is the fourth ship launching in September 2025. It's going to be in New York City, sailing to Bermuda on some short itineraries.
Also up to Canada.
So it'll have some in the Northeast and then transition to Miami and do some Caribbean sailings. This is very exciting. At some point, it is going to go from Miami to Los Angeles through the Panama Canal. This ship is built a little different than the other three because they had to make it fit through the Panama Canal. It's doing at least one repo cruise through the Panama Canal to LA. It'll then do some cruising around Mexico and then position up to Seattle to start Alaska cruises in 2026.
There definitely is going to be some new dining experiences, some new shows. I think they're going to change some things. It's exciting to see what they're going to come up with. We're doing a cruise on the Brilliant Lady. We've decided Alaska will be our choice. We think it's going to be a unique way to do that. We haven't done an Alaska cruise in quite a few years, and we've had a great time when we've done it. We're going to go out of Seattle. Now, they have something interesting. If you're interested in doing the sailings out of Alaska, because they expect it to be very popular, you can reserve your spot first in line. And it's $500 for a balcony. It's basically just your deposit. It's a little bit more for a suite. We went ahead and already did that. We made our payment today. And this way, we're front of the line when the Alaska dates and all the details become available. So if that's of interest to you, I'll try to put the link down below as well about the Brilliant Lady. And if you want to go ahead and sign up for that, you can. Totally optional. You can wait until the itineraries come out. However, they're already booking for some of these spots and cruises. So if you're interested in a new ship, jump on it. We also are officially booked on the Scarlet Lady in the Mediterranean in June 2025.
It goes out of Barcelona, returns to Barcelona. It does a big loop down to Rome and back. It stops at like Mallorca. Let's see where else. Corsica.
Corsica.
Yes, Cannes. And then down to La Spezia, which is right there in the Cinque Terre area. So
So if you happen to be on this ship, let us know and we'll meet up with you on board. When it comes time to book your Virgin Voyages cruise, you get the same exact price if you book direct or through a travel agent. I highly suggest you book through a travel agent because they can do a lot of the hard work for you. If there's ever a situation where you have to call, you can have your travel agent do that for you. And sometimes they have express numbers where they can get in much quicker. All right, if you're looking to make a booking on Virgin Voyages, we have a link there, digitalromance.com/VV, where you can use that QR code. It'll take you directly to Cruise Direct, which is one of the largest cruise-only travel agencies. They will give you extras if you book through them. You'll get the same pricing like you would get direct from Virgin, and then some extra bonuses. If you go to that link, you'll get to this page. It'll bring up all of the Virgin Voyages cruises. You can do a lot of things on the left-hand side if you want to choose Caribbean or Mediterranean or do a transatlantic departure city. So it's great. But one thing I would recommend if you're looking for a great deal, just go ahead and click here and go price per night. You can actually get down as low as $73 per night on this transatlantic that's coming up. So that's a good way to see what are the best deals overall. All right, please say hello in the comments. We would love to hear, have you been on a Virgin Voyages cruise before? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think? Would you book another one? What advice would you give somebody else? Do you have a Virgin Voyages booked in the future? We'd love to see where you're going. Please be sure to like and subscribe.
thanks for listening. We'll see you out there.